I love it.
So you've got a smelly bus, a temperature that is always wrong, and seats designed by someone who has never sat down before in their life. And then you fill it with 30 kids, and what happens? I've got a new video topic. Now, I lied at the beginning of this video when I said the bus had no rules, because it did have one. And this rule was about where you sat on the bus. Because the bus was split into 3 sections: the front, the middle, and the back. And based on where you sat, everybody on that bus already knew exactly what type of person you were. Let's start at the front. The front of the bus was for one type of person and one type only: the teacher's pet. Because what other reason would you have for wanting to sit as close as possible to the driver? If you sit literally anywhere else in the bus, the driver won't be able to hear what you say or do, which means you could do whatever you want. But here's the thing about front of the bus kids. They didn't just sit there quietly being good. They didn't just sit there because they were homies with the driver and talked about sports or movies with them. No, they had a purpose for sitting up there. And that purpose was to be the lookout. Now, of course, since the bus driver has to focus on, driving, he doesn't have the time to pay attention to every single kid and make sure they're behaving. So the front of the bus kids would take it upon themselves to do this for them. Now you may be wondering, did the driver ask the kids to do this? No, they probably couldn't care less, to be honest. Because I was on a bus one time and the lookout kid tapped the driver on the shoulder and said, "Mr. Roberts, there's kids fighting back there." And because the bus has that big honking mirror at the front of it, I could see the driver's face. And when this kid snitched on the people in the back, the bus driver literally just rolled his eyes as if he was tired of this kid snitching on everyone. The kid would do this over literally anything too. Like, he had the rows of seats memorized. Kids in row 10 are throwing food on the ground. And no, hey, I respect the passion that these front of the bus kids had, but maybe they should have put that passion towards something more useful, like cranking 90s and Fortnite. That's what I was passionate about at the time. Now that I think about it, my passion was pretty useless too, actually. I genuinely felt bad for the front of the bus kids though, because the one on my bus was just trying to behave. He wasn't actually doing anything wrong, but because he'd snitch on other students, some of the people on the bus would mess with him. Like, there were times where he'd get a grape thrown at him and turn around like this. Who did that? But right behind this row of kids that are snitching on your every move was the kids in the middle of the bus. The middle of the bus was where the NPCs lived. And before anyone gets upset because I called you an NPC, I myself sat in the middle of the bus for most of my life. So I would know. It's not an insult, this is just the truth. But I'm not calling us middle of the bus kids NPCs because we didn't have any personality or anything like that. No, I'm calling us NPCs because compared to the rest of the psychopaths in this bus, we were just the normal kids. We would just get on the bus, sit down, maybe talk to whoever was next to us, look out the window. We weren't causing any problems and we weren't snitching on the people who were. We were simply on that bus because we needed a way to get to and from school. But here's what I didn't fully realize until way later. Being normal on the school bus was actually the weird thing to do. When you look at what was going on in the front and in the back, the people who were just sitting there being regular human beings were actually the minority. We were the ones who suffered the most on these bus rides because all we wanted was peace. But unfortunately, when you got World War II happening behind you and the Secret Service in front of you, that was impossible. And when I say World War II is happening behind me, you may ask what I mean by that. You'll understand very soon, because now we gotta talk about the back of the bus. Now I want you to do something for me right now. Close your eyes and picture what happens in the back of the school bus. Take a few seconds. I'll wait. What did you see? Smoke? Flames? Screaming? Crying? Whatever you saw, it's probably accurate. But the fact that you can even picture what the back of the bus looks like just shows how crazy this section was. The kids in the back were bad people. Okay, maybe sometimes they were. That might be a lie. But they just did not think the same as the rest of us. I don't know if there was free caffeine hidden somewhere back there or what, but it was always pure chaos. And you may ask yourself why the back of the bus was so different from everywhere else. And it was simply because this was the furthest point away from the driver. So this basically meant no one had any idea what you were doing or saying. Yeah, sure, the bus driver has mirrors to look back there, but at least in my case, my bus driver had bad eyes, so they probably couldn't even see that far back. Now that I think about it, why was someone with bad eyesight driving a bunch of kids around to school every day? How did he even pass the test? Whatever. Anyways, I know I said I was a middle of the bus kid, but that was when I matured a little bit, because before that point, I myself was a back of the bus kid. And this means I know firsthand what happens back there. I'm talking cooking food, breaking windows, riding on the seats, anything you can imagine, it probably happened. So I have some crazy stories about kids in the back of the bus that you would not believe. So if you're a back of the bus kid watching this, learn from me. Please stop. But here's the thing. Splitting the bus into front, middle, and back is really only part of the picture, because inside those sections there were specific types of people, characters, the same characters that appeared on every bus in every school in every city. Let's start with the one who plays music. This person mainly lived in the back section, but their presence affected the entire bus, because although playing music usually isn't a big deal, for some reason there was always a kid who would play it out loud. Why would they do that, you may ask? That's a great question. This person would hop on the bus at 7 in the morning and they're playing Drip Too Hard by Lil Baby. Don't Don't get me wrong, I like that song, but it's 7 in the morning. Let's listen to that song at lunch, not now. If you're gonna play anything at this time, play elevator music or something. I always wondered if this person played their music out loud because they didn't care if they were bothering anyone, or if it was because they actually thought other people wanted to hear their music. Newsflash, no one did. If there's someone like this on your school bus, do them a favor and buy them some headphones. They won't actually use them, but at least they'll get the message. But recently, I've realized something about myself. I will go so far out of my way to avoid talking to people. Like, I'll choose the self-checkout even if the line is longer. I'll text people instead of calling. So when I need to actually book a doctor's appointment, my brain is always just like,
I'm gonna avoid this as long as possible.
But one time, when I needed to book an appointment, my mom went,
Tyler, did you finally book that doctor's appointment yet?
And she's totally expecting me to say no. But I tell her I did, because I found a way to avoid talking to a human and still book it. What am I talking about? ZocDoc, today's video sponsor. ZocDoc is a free website that helps you find and book high-quality, in-network doctors, all based on your own preferences. You can search through the 200+ specialties offered on ZocDoc and see which doctors take your insurance and read reviews from real patients before deciding who feels like the right fit for you. They have over 150,000 providers across all 50 states, covering everything from primary care and dentistry to dermatology and eye care. You can book in-person or video visits, see real-time availability, and schedule instantly with no phone calls required. You can even read thousands of verified patient reviews so you know what kind of doctor you're walking into, see real appointment times, and click to book instantly. This is literally my dream because I just hate small talk with people I don't know, so walking into the doctor and having to do that whole process was always a headache for me. Appointments made through ZocDoc are also fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. So don't wait around to get the healthcare you need. Visit ZocDoc today using my link and also linked in the description and find the doctor that's right for you. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into it. Obviously, you did not want to sit next to this type of person, so you try going somewhere else on the bus. The only problem is there's not many seats left, so you try sitting next to a random person, but they go,
ooh, sorry, I'm saving this seat for my friend.
To be fair, I understood these types of people. When you get on that bus, you want to talk to your homies, so of course, you're gonna save your seat for your friend. Totally fine. You don't want to end up being next to someone who's gonna make the next 40 minutes of your life horrible. I get it, but the way these people executed the seat saving is where I have a problem. They would get on the bus, drop into their seat, and immediately spread across both spots in a way that physically communicated this seat is not available. Backpack on the seat, arms and legs stretched out, and if you made eye contact with them, you could tell by the look in their eyes that they were thinking, there's no way you're sitting here. And at first, that was fine. You respect the process, you keep walking and look for somewhere else to sit. But then the bus starts filling up, and the seat saver is still holding that spot. Bus hits 60% full, still holding the spot. 70% still doing it. 80% capacity, and now you're one of the last few people walking the aisle looking for an open seat, and your options have gotten bad really fast. So you look at the seat saver, and they look back at you and are like, don't even think about it. The bus could quite literally be full, no other seats left, and they still wouldn't let you sit down. So when they don't let you sit there, you just have to go, oh, no problem, I'll just go stand on the roof. Like, that's basically your only option left. They would genuinely rather have you do that than take their seat. But there's always usually at least one seat left open, and it's usually next to the person in this next category, the heavy sleeper. I would never judge anyone for being in this category. I have been in it a couple times myself. You were forced to wake up at what should not be a legal hour for a kid to have to wake up. You somehow got dressed, found your stuff, walked outside in the cold, and got on a moving vehicle. But your body's telling you, no, we're not ready to fully wake up yet. We need 30 more minutes of rest. So when these people would get on the bus, they were fully asleep before the doors even closed. Head against the window, mouth slightly open, completely gone. Now the reason I said this person would usually have an open seat next to them was because they were a very risky person to sit next to on the bus. It would always go one of two ways. Either they didn't bother you at all and it was a pleasant, peaceful ride, or they were a snorer. Not quiet snoring, not subtle, polite, barely their type of snoring. I'm talking your dad in the middle of the night after a long day of work snoring. If you weren't sitting there right next to them, you would think it was the sound of someone trying to start a lawnmower, and that made sitting next to them miserable. There was a kid on my bus that would snore every day, literally every day, and after a while, it just became background noise for us. Like, we didn't even hear it anymore. I don't even know if he was aware he was snoring every day, but one time, I was forced to sit next to this kid because there were no other seats left open. I thought to myself, okay, this won't be that big of a deal. I'll just put my headphones in and won't hear a thing. Well, I was wrong, because when I sat sat down next to him. The driver took a sharp turn, and all of a sudden, Sleeping Beauty had his head laying on my shoulder. And I had no idea what to do. Do I wake him up? Is that rude? He's basically screaming, snoring directly in my ear at this point, but I decided to just let him do his thing. But then, I felt my shirt get a little wet, and I looked up to make sure it wasn't raining. And that's when I realized this man was drooling on me. It was right then and there where I just shoved him off. I tried being kind, but I'm sorry. I could not do it anymore. And he woke up for about 2 seconds.
I'm last, bro.
Then he leaned against the window and went right back to sleep. But some people on that bus simply could not afford to sleep. Some people had things to do, important things, things that were supposed to get done the night before, but didn't. You know who I'm talking about. The person who was always rushing to finish their homework. This person was usually super handsome, super tall, and all the girls loved him. Now, am I saying this because I was always this person? Maybe, but anyway, so because this person was me, let me give you a rundown of how every day would go. I'd get home from school and have a bunch of homework I have to do. I'd then look at the homework, decide this homework could wait a little bit. I would then play some video games or hang out with friends, and all of a sudden, it would be 9 o'clock at night and I'd have 0 homework done. But I'm way too tired to get it done now, so I would convince myself that I have enough time to get it done in the morning while on the bus. Sometimes I did have enough time, but other times I had to lock in like it was the 4th quarter of the finals. So I'd wake up and instantly I'm panicking because I remembered I have homework I need to finish in the next hour, and if I don't, I'm gonna be revving up those fryers at McDonald's for a living. So I get on the bus, open my backpack, and I'm writing as fast as possible. Is my handwriting eligible? No. Would I get all the answers right? Usually no. But did I finish before we pulled into that school parking lot? Every single time. Because here's the thing about me that I realized back then, and I still believe now, I was not a regular season player. I was a postseason player. I performed better under pressure than I ever did when I had plenty of time. You give me a whole weekend to do something, and I'll do it on Sunday night. You give me a whole weekend to do something, and I probably won't get it done. But if you give me 40 minutes on a school bus, I will exceed expectations. I cannot get any work done unless I had a genuine threat of failing the class. So this was already super stressful, but nothing made the homework situation harder than having the person directly behind you kicking your seat the entire ride. The seat kicker was a very interesting type of person, to say the least. I'm trying to talk about them without my face getting red because they usually tended to make me very annoyed.